You ever have one of those moments where you realize you just stepped into a fight you never signed up for? Yeah, that was me, right after I moved into my so-called dream cabin on the lake. The HOA president didn't waste a single sunrise. She barged onto my land heels, pounding the gravel like she owned the world, waving some kid-level hand-drawn map, claiming my waterfront belonged to the community. Her name was Laura Kent. And if you've ever met someone who radiates main character energy in all the worst ways, you'll know what I mean. She looked right through me, said I'd learn the rules soon enough, and threatened to make my life a nightmare unless I handed over the shoreline. What Laura didn't get was this wasn't just a cabin, and I wasn't just another pushover with a picket fence. 18 years grinding in tech, building a company from a folding table and a busted laptop, surviving more venture capital meetings than I care to remember. This place was supposed to be my reward. No more all-nighters, no more stress-eating cold pizza at 2 a.m., just me, coffee, and silence so deep it made my ears ring. The first morning I actually let myself believe it'd last. Until I heard her heels outside. That crunch still gets me honestly like an alarm bell for the end of peace. She didn't introduce herself, just started eyeballing my dock, my shore, my front porch like she was casing the joint for a robbery. Clipboard fake document suit that screamed suburban gladiator. And when she finally spoke, it was that fake friendly HOA tone aesthetic harmony community standards, you know the drill, like I was already guilty of something nobody bothered to tell me about. Laura pulled out her evidence, that doodle of a map, and jabbed at my dock with her finger, announcing the land was always shared. Claimed the previous owner, Walker, had some handshake deal with her. Now, let me back up a sec. My deed was rock-solid title insurance and all boundaries marked right to the waterline. I laid them out like cards at a poker table, explained calmly legal ownership, everything stamped and official. She barely even looked. Just waved it off and kept repeating Walker like his name was some magic spell that'd undo my paperwork. I could hear her voice start to wobble, though just a little, like she was trying to convince herself more than me. Before I could get a word in, she snapped back into manager mode, announcing the HOA board would handle it properly, tossing my name out there like a threat. As she left, she gave my place this look, half hunting, half haunted, and I'll admit, yeah, I locked the doors that night. Something about that encounter felt staged, like I'd been cast in a play I never auditioned for. Next morning, I come home with groceries and boomstack of violation notices thicker than a phone book. My red doormat, which I'd bought for its autumn vibes, apparently violated section 12.4, $50 due in 10 days. I read it twice, honestly laughing until the next day, when a grass-too-tall fine showed up. Then a noise complaint for wind chimes barely loud enough for squirrels to hear. By day 3, I realized this wasn't random. Laura was trying to break me a little more with every envelope. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? But here's the thing, anger's a waste on people like her. I went full engineer instead. Documented every so-called violation, GPS photos, timestamps, the works. Started looking for patterns. And it didn't take long to see Laura wasn't enforcing rules. She was enforcing her rules, and I was the target. That weekend, I played neighborhood detective, camera in hand, snapping every rule Laura herself broke. Her political sign violated the HOA. Her fence was unapproved. Her dog ran wild, leashless every single day. Hypocrisy on parade. I built a case file you could take to the Supreme Court. Then I met Tim. He was my neighbor, 60s, maybe looked like he'd been gardening under surveillance for years. He pulled me aside, eyes darting, voice low, told me Walker, my cabin's previous owner, spent his final years in a chess match with Laura, tormenting her right back. Before he died, Walker swore he'd leave her a masterpiece, one she'd never see coming. The way Tim glanced at my place, I started to feel chills. Naturally, I spent all night researching Walker. Turns out the man was a legend, a prankster architect who'd rigged buildings to expose corruption fountains, to soak lying politicians, legal traps buried everywhere. He'd spent years perfecting his last masterpiece. Now I had to wonder, was I living inside it? The drama cranked up fast. Certified letters demanding my appearance at a disciplinary hearing started arriving, signatures bold as graffiti with Laura's handwriting awkwardly slashing out Walker's old address. Something about it felt desperate, like she was using a dead man's stationery as a power move. So I show up at her house, her dining room, set up like a mock courtroom. Laura sitting like a TV judge, 3 board members in folding chairs, sweating bullets. I pulled out my phone, quoted the HOA rule on recording meetings. The silence was delicious. Laura objected, but the board members realized her threats might come back to bite them. I laid out my evidence, photo after photo, deed after deed, and watched their faces go from bored to pale. Laura didn't care. The vote went against me unanimous after some hard stares from her. $1 and $500 fine, $100 a day, until I caved, plus threats to slap a lien on my property if I didn't pay. That was her big move, take my land through legal bullying. But right then, one board member voice, shaky, finally said what everyone was thinking. Maybe the lien thing is excessive. Laura shot him down. But the others weren't buying it anymore. As I walked out, I told them I'd be speaking with my attorney, and the room shifted. Her bluff was starting to crack. That's when Clara Stone entered the picture. Lawyer sharp as a tack, known for taking down dirty HOAs. She flipped through my file, nodding, and said, "You've got a pattern. This is about money." Together, we dug into county records, permit applications, construction plans, found that Laura's brother's company had tried and failed to get approval for a big resort. Every plan hit a dead end because they needed my waterfront for access. Laura's entire campaign was about turning my land into their golden ticket. Except Walker had filed a bulletproof conservation easement 8 years back. Any development attempt would trigger federal fines. Walker didn't just protect his land, he set bait for people like Laura. The man was playing 4D chess. While she schemed, he left legal landmines. Clara smiled. Let her walk right in. And sure enough, she did. Caught her on my security cams, meeting contractors on my land, directing them where to dig. Caught her saying, "Just get it started, we'll handle the legal issues later." That was the magic evidence. Clara called the county, I called the sheriff. Within an hour, my property was crawling with inspectors, officials, even the county surveyor. Contractors dropped their tools the second they heard federal fines. Laura's face, sheer panic. She tried playing the "I'm the HOA president" card. Didn't work. Got a trespass citation, ordered to pay double for the unauthorized work, humiliated in front of half the neighborhood. Neighbors started to open up. Mrs. Patterson, who Laura had fined for a yellow mailbox. Mr. Rodriguez forced to tear down his kid's playset. Even Tim, who'd lived in fear for years. The community started sharing stories, and it all added up. Laura had bullied and shaken down this neighborhood for a decade. That night, I mailed out an evidence packet to every house exposing her scam family connections, fake violations, everything. Next meeting, the room was packed. Clara laid out the case, residents piled on. 2 board members broke ranks, one even apologized. Mrs. Patterson, shaky but proud, moved to remove Laura. The vote, 23-1. Laura was done. Reputation ruined, family business in shambles, forced to resign. But Laura couldn't let go. She cornered me outside, eyes wild, whispering, "You have no idea what you're interfering with." Walker's last laugh isn't what you think. Tried to play her final card, calling one last meeting to sway the crowd with "Walker promised me the land." But the evidence was overwhelming. I showed the community Walker's Reels plan. My property wasn't the prize, it was bait. The true development site had sat untouched, permits expired, while Laura chased her white whale. Her face when it hit her, that was the payoff, the moment her own greed destroyed her the way Walker always planned. The board replaced her. The neighborhood rebuilt, trust property values soared. Laura left town, her threat hanging in the air. You've only won the first round. Some nights when the lake's perfectly still, I imagine Walker's out there somewhere laughing at how it all played out. I gotta hand it to him. The man didn't just save his land, he saved this community from a tyrant. So what would you have done in my shoes? Let her self-destruct or twist the knife? Drop your thoughts below, because I guarantee there's more stories just like this in every neighborhood. And you never know who's really pulling the strings. If you made it this far, hit that share your wildest HOA war stories and stick around. We've got plenty more receipts where that came from.